Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we are continuing our look at the Odyssey theme decks and we are moving on to look at 1-2 Punch. Let's have a look at the deck list. So, we have 8 creatures, and you might think, oh, a red and green deck with only 8 creatures, how weird, but bear with, we'll get to it. We have 15 sorceries, 12 instants, and 25 land. So let's get on, look at 1-2 Punch. So, these are the creature cards of the deck. 2 Druid Lyrist, which is just one mana creature. You can sacrifice it, destroy an enchantment. Rabid Elephant is 5 mana for a 3/4, gets +2/+2 whenever a creature blocks it. Croson Archer is a 4 mana 2/3, it has reach. You can spend a green and discard a card to give it +0/+2 to a turn. It's just a bad Giant Spider in my opinion. And Giant Spider is not exactly a great card anymore. Leaf Dancer is 3 mana 2/2 with Forest Walk. Nantuku Mentor is 3 mana 1/1. It's one of the rares of the deck. You can spend 3 mana and tap it. Target creature gets +X/+X turn, where X is its power, which is, I mean, that's pretty good. Kind of like a Berserk effect, I guess. And then Gorilla Titan, 5 mana for a 4/4 trample. Has +4/+4 as long as there are no cards in your graveyard. And has, just such amazingly dumb flavor text. I love it. Yeah, these are all kind of okay creatures. The Druid Lyrist is, okay as a utility creature. The Nantuka Mentor, it's very expensive, obviously, just for a 1/1, but the effect is quite strong. Gorilla Titan is kind of okay, just as a 5 mana, like 4/4 trample. That's actually costed okay. That effect, I don't know if you'd ever really reliably get that effect, but when it does, it being 8/8 trample is obviously very strong. But I think 99% of the time it's going to be a 4/4 trample. And then the other two are just kind of like bad centaurs. There are so many bad centaurs in Odyssey block, as we'll see. But yeah, so these are the actual creature cards. But then what's pulling double duty are all these spells that make creature tokens, which is a major theme of Odyssey block. So we have 3 Chatter of the Squirrel, which is 1 green mana sorcery, makes a 1/1 green squirrel, and has flashback, which means when it's in your graveyard, you can pay its flashback cost. You get the effect again, and then you exile it, so you get to play it twice. That is like the big theme of this deck, and it's one of the major mechanics of Odyssey block, these flashback spells, because it's such a kind of like Innistrad is, in later years. It's a very graveyard focused block. So there have to be, a lot of effects usually rely on milling yourself or discarding cards for effects. Like as you saw with the Croson Archer, who you discard a card to give him a small toughness boost. But yeah, because like a lot of cards have an ability called Threshold, which Threshold is as long as you have 7 cards in your graveyard, you are considered to have Threshold, and there are some cards that care about that. Yeah, so very graveyard-centered block, which is why there are all these cards with flashback. Which means if you end up discarding them to effect, you can still cast them, and it doesn't feel as bad. Like it doesn't feel like you're missing out on them. Or if you get to cast them from your hand, it means you get to double up on them, which is really good. So we have minor. So that's our tangent, right? So Chat of the Squirrel is okay. I kind of wish that flashback was just only 1 green. So you could pump out 2 1/1s just for 2 green mana. But anyway, Roar of the Worm. This is kind of not an infamous card, but it had its moment in the spotlight in Odyssey block. Not in this deck, but as we look at more cards, maybe I'll delve a bit into the history of stuff like Roar of the Worm and. Yeah, so it's 7 mana to make a 6/6 green worm, which is very expensive, but it's 6/6 worm. It doesn't have any evasion either, but it's fine. It's 6/6 worm. Where it gets interesting is its flashback, which is only 4 mana. So if you manage to get this into your graveyard, you can spend only 4 mana to get a 6/6, which is a very, very good deal. And that is that is a thing that like a lot of kind of standard decks did at the time. They would find ways to discard Roar of the Worm and then get a big worm out, for very cheap. So with beast attack, two of these. So it's a 5 mana instant. You make a 4/4 beast, and it has flashback for exactly the same cost, which is really nice. The triple green kind of hurts it a little bit, but yeah, I think it's perfectly good. I mean, 5 mana for a 4/4 with flash is pretty good. And the same with Elephant Ambush. I love this art of an elephant hiding behind a tree, just like he'll never see me here. Yeah, again, like it's essentially a 3/3 with flash for 4. It's pretty good. Obviously, being a token, it's a little more vulnerable to bounce effects. But yeah, it's fine. The flashback on that is obviously very expensive, though, at 8. So you have a whole sort of selection of these green cards that make token creatures. Then we have a selection of other just green cards here to round out things. Moment's Peace is very, very good, I think. So it's 2 mana for essentially fog, prevent all combat damage, and has flashback for 3. So yeah, if you had a full playset of these in a deck, for example, you've essentially got 8 fogs for the price of only 4 cards, which is very good. If that's if that's the kind of deck you want to play, where you just want to have a lot of fogs and kind of mess up combat maths. Yeah, Moment's Peace, really, really good. Also, I'm just going to point out this is a really nice little design choice. I don't think they did this in Innistrad, but all these spells that have flashback have a little tombstone icon in the top left-hand corner next to the name. And I guess that was just like if you had your graveyard arranged like kind of maybe like stacked out or kind of fanned out maybe, or anything like that, you could see the tombstones and just you could notice that it looked like, oh, I've got a flashback spell there. Just think that's a nice little design choice. 2 Sylvan Mites. This is kind of like the pump spell of the time, just 2 mana for +2/+2 and trample to turn. That's fine. It has flashback for 4. Yep, perfectly fine, perfectly fine. Howling Gale is essentially a 1 mana hurricane. It does 1 damage to every creature flying in each player, and it has flashback. It's okay, it's a little weak. But one damage to flyers. Flyers are usually don't have as much toughness as creatures without flying, so I think that would have been fine to clear out kind of like a lot of small creatures in the air. Deep Reconnaissance is basically rampant growth with flashback. A lot of these cards with flashback are usually, it's a effect we've seen before. Make it cost an extra mana to justify having a flashback cost, and then the flashback is usually, like 1 or 2 mana more than what it than its casting cost. But yeah, 2 of those, Deep Reconnaissance, absolutely fine. And then a single refresh. So this is 3 mana to regenerate a creature, and then you draw a card. It's a little expensive for that. At least you get to draw a card, but yeah, it's kind of a little expensive for that. And then we have a few red burn spells here. So we have 2 Engulfing Flames, which is 1 red mana instant. It does 1 damage to a creature. It can't be regenerated this turn, and it has flashback for 4, which is very expensive, I think, for that effect. But it's fine. I think Engulfing Flames is a little weak. I think it could have been, just 2 damage to a creature. I don't think that would have been too terrible if it was limited only just to creatures, just to make it do a bit more damage. Firebolt is the good stuff. Oh, it's uncommon. Why is Engulfing Flames uncommon? I don't understand. Oh my god. Anyway, Firebolt is a much better, much better spell in my opinion. 1 red mana to do 2 damage to anything. It's at sorcery speed, admittedly, but it's 2 damage to anything. And again, its flashback is 5, which again is quite expensive. I just think Firebolt is a better card than Engulfing Flames. Although Engulfing Flames does have the anti-regeneration core, so it does shut down, stuff like, I don't know, like Drudge Skeletons, or there's other small annoying regenerators. Scorching Missile, just 4 mana sorcery, just 4 damage to a player. Flashback for 10, which is crazy. Like, to think a game could potentially go on that long for you to hit 10 mana. But if you do, it's something to do late game, I guess. What else are you going to do with 10 mana, I suppose? And then a single Volcanic Spray. This does so this is essentially the red. This is the 1 damage Earthquake. Does 1 damage to every creature without flying in each player, and flashback for 2. That's okay, I guess. It's a little weak in my opinion, but it's okay. Earth Rift, it's just a bad Stone Rain. So 4 mana to destroy a land. It has flashback 7. It's very expensive. I just don't think that's worth it. And just having 1 in the deck as well is such a weird choice. Yeah. And then we have, what's the one, the other res? The deck is Seize the Day. So 4 mana, untap target creature. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase, and you can flash it back for 3. It's pretty good. These red spells that usually give additional combat phases are usually pretty good. This one is, I understand why it's, because normally these are like, they're untap all your creatures, right? So all your creatures can attack twice, essentially. This only lets you untap one, which, kind of limits it. Obviously it's, you can't swing with everything and then do a Seize the Day and then swing with everything again. So, letting it only untap one thing is a little weak, in my opinion. But it's okay. It's okay. Like, this is obviously better in a deck with, if you have a lot of creatures, say, like Vigilance or, I don't know. It's okay. And then 2 Reckless Charges. This is, I think, a pretty good pump spell. It's only 1 red mana, and I know it's sorcery speed, but I think +3/+0 and haste for any 1 red mana is quite strong. And again, you can flash it back for 3 mana. So you have the potential where you could cast it twice in a single turn, give something +6/+0. Yeah, I think it's okay. I think Reckless Charge is pretty good. So what could have been? So I think this deck's, again, it's sort of okay. It's it's kind of very standard red-green. It's just doing it in a slightly different way by just making a lot of tokens instead. So Squirrel Nest is a enchantment that goes on a land, and the enchant land can tap to make squirrels tokens. It's fine. Demoralize is a red combat trick spell. Gives all your creatures menace until end turn, but if you have a threshold, it means your opponent's creatures can't block at all, which is pretty useful if you're kind of attacking with lots of tokens. Nantuko Elder is this insect druid guy. Taps to give you 1 colourless and 1 green. So it would have helped just ramp up a bit to kind of meet these high flashback costs. Overrun, just a good spell to have. When you've got lots of creatures, just gives them all +3/+3 and trample till end of turn. Call of the Herd. Yeah, this could have gone in, I guess. I don't think it's a bit. So Call of the Herd, I don't think it's particularly exciting. I think it's it's very efficient for what it does. 3 mana to make a 3/3 token, and then flash it back for 4. It's very efficient. I just don't think it's very exciting. But it could have been in here. And then I think a better rare, I'm actually kind of surprised it wasn't here, is the Catalyst Stone. So it makes all your flashback costs 2 less, and your opponent's flashback costs 2 more. And I think you've got a deck here where a lot of your cards have flashback. So this, I don't know, this seems like a kind of a shoe-in, really. This would have made more sense, I think, than Seize the Day, but that's why this is what could have been, I suppose. I don't know if Catalyst Stone was particularly sought after in Odyssey. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know enough about Odyssey. I wasn't really playing that much during Odyssey. I kind of dipped out after Invasion. I wasn't sort of keeping up or playing the game as much then. But yeah, I think that's what could have been. Just some changes. So in summary, I think it just suffers from red-green deck syndrome, doesn't it? Where it's better than most red-green decks in the fact it's doing something a little bit different and a little bit exciting with all the token makers and flashback. So it's got a bit more going on, but it's still, I don't know, it's still a little bit boring. To me personally, it doesn't make me go whoa. I still probably would have enjoyed playing it because I quite like red green anyway. Just because it's dumb doesn't mean you can't have fun with it, I suppose. So this is okay. This is okay, I think. Like kind of a lot of these decks in like the first set of a block, I think the limited card pool kind of sets it back. If this had been done sort of maybe in Torment or Judgment, it would have had a better card pool to draw from, and then it could have done something a bit more interesting, maybe. But that's my thoughts on 1-2 Punch. What were your thoughts after looking at it? Did you have this deck? Did you play with it? Did you make any changes to it? Stick a comment below. I'd really like to know. But I will be back next time to look at another Odyssey pre-constructed deck. But until then, thank you for watching and listening, and have a great day.